next guest has decided to come out of retirement. He announced this on January 31st, so we're here to talk about it. It's a Motown phenom, Kevin Lee. Kevin, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Never better.
I bet. And you got quite the shoe collection. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But January 31st, you made the announcement on Twitter. You were coming out of retirement. You want to go down to 155. What brought all this on? What made you want to come back?
Yeah, it's a long time coming. I've probably been thinking about it for the last 2 months or so. The one that really kind of pushed me over the edge was a conversation that I had with my mom. And she said that the smile in my soul is gone. And I remember repeating it back to her to make sure I heard it right. And I was like, man, that's deep. Uh, and I mean, my takeaway from it was just that I needed to fight again. It had already kind of been in my mind. It had already been something that I've keep being driven to. And when she said that, I was like, okay, yeah. What am I gonna do? I'm 31 now. Uh, now if I'm gonna make a run, now's the time, and I don't want to live with no regrets, and really need to see this thing through, and I need to see my life through, and feel good for myself.
One of the big reasons you decided to retire was because of all the knee injuries. How are your knees doing now?
Yeah, I went under the knife September 12th. So 2 months after my last fight, I ended up having the surgery. It was much needed. I felt almost immediately a lot different. I felt a lot more stable. You know, when you go a year and a half without an ACL, and I just kind of tried to battle through it, and I was constantly re-tearing it and re-tearing and re-tearing it through that camp. I kind of almost forgot what it's like to be stable and be able to move around. So I'm 4 months removed from my last knee surgery, and part of that was the reason. You know, the injuries just started to add up to just so much. And now that I got a son, I'm a father now. I start thinking a little bit further down the line, and like thinking that I got to keep my body together for when my son gets older. But as I let that sit for a little bit, and I kind of digested it more, and I just thought about it, and I'm like, there's bigger lessons that I need to teach him. And one is to not be afraid of the consequences, you know, to prepare as best as I can, but I'm not gonna let the fear kind of freeze me and make me too afraid to go out there and actually chase my dreams. The right knee is 100%. It's the left knee that I had to have surgery on. And this isn't like something that I've been keeping from everybody, right? I mean, people watched me re-tear it in my Eagle FC fight. Millions of people watched that fight, and it was torn live, and I didn't have surgery after that. I just tried to strengthen it and kind of work around it. You know, I spoke with a lot of people who was like, "Oh, you don't need an ACL." Like, I haven't had an ACL for 10 years. But when the injury is so fresh and so new in a 30-year-old body, I think that's what makes a difference versus if this had happened to me at 18 or 19 years old. It would have been a little bit different. So yeah, the left knee was the one that had the surgery. It's halfway through being recovered right now.
Okay, so that's good because I remember you mentioned in that Instagram post that I think you were normally you stomp when you walk into the cage, and you couldn't even really do that in the Renat fight, right?
Yeah, yeah. I immediately retort when I tried to do the stomp. Um and from there, I was looking for a way out of it. I couldn't even look him in the eyes, and you know, that's always kind of a thing for me too, is being able to stare down my opponent and be able to see what I'm walking myself into. And there I knew I couldn't even look him in the eyes. I turned the other way, and was looking at Keith and looking at my coaches to tell them what happened.
Any regrets on taking that fight? I know you're probably not a guy who has a lot of regrets, but kind of looking back now, do you kind of wish maybe you would have taken some time off and really let the knees heal a little bit or get the proper surgery?
Yeah, in hindsight, it was a dumb fight. It was stupid. I mean, I knew my knee was torn to shreds the entire time. It was the worst training camp that I ever had. I couldn't even spar or go hard in the training camp at all. That fight was purely just out of pride and ego of me being cut from the UFC and not on the terms that I would have liked. And then me kind of getting this opportunity and letting my pride take over and say that I'll do it. But yeah, in hindsight, it was a terrible decision.
And your plan now is to fight at 155, which I think a lot of people would argue that you've had your most success down there. Are you working with anyone to achieve that? Because I know it is a tough cut for you to make 155.
Yeah, it's a tough cut. It's always been a tough cut. But I've always been able to make it. The only time I wasn't was for the Charles Oliveira fight, which I came close in, but there was a lot of let's say extenuating circumstances, around the whole COVID thing and all of that, leading up to that fight in that weight cut that got in the way. I think I've been a little soft about cutting weight over the last couple years. Uh, it's tough. It's probably the hardest part of the sport, but I think it's absolutely necessary, and especially if I'm going to be chasing world championships, is I have to go through it just like everybody else. We can look and we can say, oh, we shouldn't be cutting weight or we should not or blah blah blah, but at the end of the day, we got to cut weight. If you want to compete, you're gonna have to cut the weight, and that's what it is for me. And I can make the weight. That's where my most success comes from. That's what my frame is built for. And me trying to pack on the pounds and go to 170, not only is it bad for my joints and bad for my knees, it made me slower, and it's just it was an unsuccessful. I'm glad that I did it to know that what would happen, but yeah, I'm kind of happy to leave that behind me.
Any lifestyle changes as far as diet or any of that, or is it more like you'll just cut the weight closer to the fight?
No, lifestyle changes completely. I mean, I've already slimmed up a lot. I've already lost when I stopped trying to put on weight. Um, it took a lot for me to try and compete at 170. It took a lot for me to eat and try and put on the weight and a lot of heavy lifting. So when I stopped doing that, I've already cut back down to about a normal 185, 190, 190 pounds. When I did the that last training camp, I was maybe 205, 210 on a good day, and it was just too much weight to be carrying around.
When do you see yourself coming back, or do you not even want to put a timeline and just wait till everything's a-okay and then you're ready to come back? Like, do you have an idea of when you think you could potentially fight next?
Yeah, this is gonna be a slow thing, right? I made the announcement early because I feel like I gotta hold myself accountable to
Yeah,
say
it's
that
out there in
I'm coming
public.
back.
Yeah, so it kind of puts a pressure on a bit, which is good, right? It motivates
Yeah,
you.
but at the same time, it's going to be a process, right? So I know I'm looking at the summertime at least. I don't know what contracts are looking like or getting back in with USADA and them making me wait or
Well, there
or
is no
however.
USADA now. It's something else. But yeah, I know things have changed, right? They're not
I
using
don't know
USADA.
what the I don't even know what the stipulations around that is. I know it's like UFC anti-doping or something like that
Yeah.
is the new organization. But do you have to wait the 6 months when you come back from retirement? I don't know. That's something that we're gonna start looking at in maybe like March, April. Start looking at contracts and then from there start looking at opponents after that. This is gonna be a process.
Any part of you, Tony Ferguson, still sticking around? Maybe you can get that rematch because, again, that's a fight that I think would be favorable to you at this point with the fact that he's on a bit of a streak. Or would you want to fight someone different? That's just an opponent that popped in my head.
Yeah, there's a couple great fights. Tony Ferguson. Maybe the winner or loser of Connor and Chandler. There's a couple. I'm honestly not focused too much on opponents right now.
Mhm.
I think I've got a long road ahead of me as far as getting, for one, getting healthy, two, getting into shape, three, signing a contract, and then maybe we can look at location and then talk about opponents. So it's far down the road for me to be thinking about opponents right now.
Are you still under contract with the UFC? Because I can't remember if that contract you initially signed was just one fight or what's the status on that?
Uh, Technically, I don't know. I have to look at it. I think things happen when you declare retirement.
Mhm.
So I'm not 100% sure. I didn't just sign for one fight, but
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. We'd have to look at the contracts.
For sure. Yeah, I'm sure it's your understanding, though. You're probably still with the UFC. Like, it's not like you're a free agent, fielding other offers, I wouldn't think right now. At least I wouldn't think so, no? You
I
don't
don't
know?
know.
Yeah.
Too
Okay.
too too early for me to speak on it. Like
Yeah.
I
No,
said,
no, for sure.
maybe in about March or April. That's something that we can kind of look at.
Okay, for sure. What have you been up to the last 6 months since you haven't been fighting? I know obviously being a dad's been important, but has there been anything else you've been up to sort of, kind of keep you busy when you're not training?
Yeah, I mean, my number one thing was making money, right?
Mhm.
And there's a lot of money to be made, especially down here in Miami. So I did a lot of selling. Let me just say that, but it wasn't something. And honestly, I thought like, okay, as soon as I start making some money, then I'm gonna stop thinking about fighting. And it didn't go away. Like I wasn't. I think anything that you do in this world, you're gonna have to sell, right? You're gonna
Mhm.
have to sell something, sell real estate, sell whatever it is, sell yourself, whatever it is. And the most proud that I've been is selling what I'm able to do, right? My
Mhm.
physical abilities. I think God given me these physical abilities for a reason, and that's what I'm proud of. So that's where my heart's been. The last shit that I've been doing over the 6 months is just more what I didn't want to do. It's just stuff to pay the bills and get things done. It's still businesses that I'll keep alive, you know.
Mhm.
Um, it's just because they make money, so why not? But it's not like that's my passion, you know. And I think that's when I made these decisions. That's when it started kicking around in my head. It's like, okay, what am I really passionate about? And it always kicks back to fighting. I don't care what else I do. It kicks back to fighting. The next thing I want to do is open up a restaurant. I've always been super
Oh,
passionate
cool.
about around food. And I definitely want to open up a restaurant probably around my birthday, so around September or so. Open up a restaurant here in Florida and kind of and give me a new avenue in that direction too.
You mentioned you were in sales. Did it help that you were a UFC fighter? Did that help? Maybe did people recognize you when you were in the line of field? Like I imagine that's probably a selling point for some people. It's like, oh, that's Kevin Lee.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. More so than I realized, like I don't know, MMA is a small niche, right? And MMA is a bubble almost, and
Mhm.
you feel like okay, I know everybody in MMA knows me, but it's almost shocking the number of people in regular life that kind of know about it too. I don't know if it's just because the sport got so much more popular over the last couple years, but yeah, everywhere and everybody that I turned to, and it was almost like, oh, okay, oh, cool. Wait, when are you fighting again, bro? Like,
Yeah.
I kind of I fielded that question so many times to where I'm just like, some of this got to be a sign. Some of this got to be like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't necessarily go off of what people think of me, but at the same time, it's like if 10 people tell you that, it's like it's probably true.
Now, there's going to be critics, and I got to bring this up. There's going to be people that are saying you're coming back for the money, but you kind of answered that already. It seemed like you were making pretty good money. You just weren't enjoying it.
Mhm.
What do you say to those critics who say he's coming back because he needs the money?
Uh, yeah. I mean, for one, you can make a lot more money in fighting than anything else. I will give it that. There's a reason Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor are two of the highest paid stars that there is. But I mean, the money is. I've had money already. It's not that. It's not that. That ain't what's making me kind of make the decision. That's not what's doing it for me. Even I thought, like I said, I thought that making money doing something else would take this away from me. But obviously, it ain't for the money. Like if it was for the money, there's better ways to make money, or there's easier ways to make money. This is one of the hardest, craziest things to do, and for some reason, I keep wanting to do it. So that's where I am with it. Uh, could I make money doing something else? I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know. I kind of just I like this and I enjoy it and I can make more money doing this. So why not?
Have you been in the gym training at Kill Cliff this whole time, or is that something you're slowly getting back into?
No, I just 3 weeks. It's been 2, 3 weeks, something like that. First time I stepped back, my foot back in the gym was like January 20th, I want to say. So I spent an entire 6 months not touching the gym at all.
Okay, gotcha. What about like working out and stuff, or were you doing any of that, or were you just not doing anything physical at all?
No, not at all.
Although
I mean, a
being
little
a
bit of
dad, yeah.
Yeah, in a little bit of physical therapy. You know, I did have the knee surgery, so I had to do the little bit of physical therapy with the old people, and you know, they just rub my leg for a little bit, and you do some step ups. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But nothing crazy.
You probably wouldn't have the answer to this, but one thing I was curious about training at Killcliff, obviously there's been this big fallout with Ian Garry, and I know obviously Luque's there now,
Mhm.
and so it seems like everyone's kind of on the side of Luque. Were you surprised to see like everything come out after with Gary and kind of attacking Luque and Jeff Neal and all that? Like that used to be your old division. Are you kind of aware of what's going on there?
Uh, Ian Gary attacked Luke?
Yeah, yeah,
I
like
didn't see that part.
made like a social post kind of making fun of him. He was talking about getting baptized, and Gary kind of made a smart comment. And then there's these, this stuff coming out about how Gary was saying that he was dropping guys in training and kind of saying stuff like this. So I don't know if you heard any of that stuff at Killcliff, because obviously it didn't seem like he left on good terms.
Yeah, we don't necessarily, I don't really get too much into the gym drama and all that. That's always there, right?
Yeah.
But Luke is a really, really solid dude. He's one of the solidest dudes that I've ever met, right? In my life.
Mhm.
So if anybody has anything bad to say about him, then they got something bad to say about me. And uh yeah, the Ian situation, I don't know. He seems like he's a young man that's trying to find his own, you know what I mean? So I don't necessarily fault him for that. I was in them same shoes, and um yeah, I might have said some things. We're in the toe stepping business.
Yeah.
So if he stepped on some toes along the way, all right, yeah. But I didn't hear it come out his mouth, so it's kind of hard for me to speak on it. You know what I mean?
Got to ask you, we haven't spoken since Francis fought Tyson Fury, and now he's got another
Yeah.
big fight. How happy are you? Because I know you and Francis go way back. You used to train at Extreme. How cool is that to see that all come to fruition?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. That's one of the guys that really give you motivation. It was such a just for him to go up against the world, and I've seen him do it multiple times. This isn't just the first time. um so for him to actually reach this peak it's incredible. He's gonna be one of those, like, major stories to come out of combat sports in the next 100, 200 years. So to see somebody and to be close with them, and see them make history right in front of your eyes is very, very inspiring. And yeah, it's a huge motivating factor in my career.
Speaking of stars, your brother, it's like every time I talk to you, he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Keith is just absolutely killing it. Do you think he ever
Yeah,
fights again, or do you think he's good just doing this? I think it's a lot easier doing food reviews than getting punched in the face, right?
it is, absolutely it is. But at the end of the day, you can make a lot of money fighting.
Yeah.
You can make a lot of money fighting, like a lot, in a
Mhm.
night. Um, So do I still see it as potential? There's potential.
Yeah.
But right now he's enjoying himself. Right now he's doing his thing. He makes me prouder and prouder every day, not just because of the accolades, not just because of the money, not just because of what he's done, but who he's really grown into as a person and as a man. He does an incredible job with my nieces. He's doing an incredible job with my parents. And he's everything that a big brother could ask for. So yeah, he's doing incredible work. I don't think when you say, is there any possibility? I mean, he's 27 years old, so you know there's always the future.
For sure. I wonder if he does like an influence boxing thing, because that's right up his alley, and that pays way better than everything else. And Bellator's gone now, so there's lots of options I think to figure that out. Speaking of
Mhm.
that, how's fatherhood? Because I don't think we've really talked much since you became a
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. It's the best thing. It's the best thing in the world. It's one of those things, like the deeper that you get into it, the better it gets. The easier and better it gets, and the more fun. And it's one of those things where, like, people can tell you over and over and over, wait till you have kids, wait till you have kids, wait till you have kids. And it's so true. Like, it's so many things that you can't put into words. I don't think I really knew what happiness or love was before I had a kid. And that's just because I got something better to compare it to. And when I was by myself, I just never had this amount of happiness and love in my life. Um Yeah, it's incredible. It's the best thing ever.
Any plans to have any more kids, or are you good with one?
Absolutely, I'll have more.
Okay.
Absolutely, I would not deprive him of having a brother or sister. My brothers are my best friends, so yeah, I will not take that from him.
How has it been converting to Islam? I know that's been different for you, and obviously it's a big lifestyle change as well. No drinking and all that stuff, and praying
Yep,
multiple times a day. How's that gone as far as your comeback too? Because I'm sure that discipline
yep,
aspect has really been good.
yeah. All these things kind of all working together, you know. Um, yeah, it's just I'm really gonna credit my newfound faith with the comeback, and me really being able to come back and come back healthy. I think I let a lot of things cloud my judgment. I let drinking cloud my judgment. I let weed cloud my judgment a lot. uh for a lot of my career, I smoked a lot of weed, and it was when I started to slow down, and when my body started to slow down too. uh and I think that's something that, like, more people need to speak up about. I think you hear enough about, oh, we don't kill nobody, or oh, we don't do this. I think it does a lot more damage than what we put on. Especially when you got the money behind it and you just smoking all day, every day, just too much.
Mm.
And now that I've been cleansed of that for it's been almost it's been 2 years, a little bit over 2 years. Um, I'm just getting more and more clarity every day, and more, I don't know. I feel better. I look better. I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, the more I speak on it, the more people just think I'm just talking. But I mean, it's truly how I feel, and I think these are the things that's gonna shine through. And one of the best things about MMA is there's no more talking once the cage closes, right? There's no more how I feel or anything. You're gonna be able to see it for yourself, and that's one of the things.
Last question. Got the shoe collection in the back. Any favorite pair in the back there that stands out?
Favorite pair that stands out? I actually got some Giuseppe's that I really love. Yeah.
That's great. Kevin, thanks for doing this. We're excited for the comeback. Anything you want to mention before we get out of here? I'll give you the floor.
No, not really. I mean, I'm gonna take a different approach to it this time. I'm gonna let people in a lot more. And again, that's one of the things I can say it, but it's really gonna be done. And I just can't wait to fight again, and come back and be 100% healthy. Now that I've had the correct surgeries, and I take my time with it. Yeah, the sky's the limit.